Welcome back. In a relatively quiet week for the JSE, or let's face it, decade, you can understand why a new listing may have caused such a kerfuffle in a good way. Welcome, Rainbow Chickens.
We need to show investors that we can remain profitable through the cycle. So the cycle is going to take you up and down, but it's that median line. Is it below the water or does it remain above the water? I think Astral showed that 22 out of 23 years they managed to remain profitable. So it's certainly doable. But the proof is in the pudding. We'll have to, it's in the eating, we will have to show that first before we'll be taken seriously.
Yeah, this company has kept the southwest of KZN with jobs for the last 60, 70 years. It's pretty impressive. I'm happy to see it listed in the stock exchange.
Yeah, list back, because of course it was listed.
It was,
Of course, RCL stands for Rainbow Chicken
Rainbow Chicken Limited, of course,
That's the difference. In America, they talk about super semiconductors and kind of work. Here we talk about chickens.
I mean, it is a bit of a terrible.
That's a downer. We just got a listing. I'm celebrating this.
Okay,
I'm not going to let you take this.
Let's talk about Boom. We got Silas Sabin.
That was an interesting.
That stock suddenly went crazy.
Yes, what happened this week? It went crazy. It was 100% up, and then it was down 20%.
Well, because if you smoke the stuff in the lifts, of course you're going to go onto the floor, or you're going to go in front of your screen and just start hitting buttons.
That metaphor is the worst.
The problem is it's a very tiny free float. So when it listed, everyone was a bit at a rand. And then finally someone's like, well, I'll sell you mine at whatever. And it was like a frenzy.
Just help me with this. If you're drunk in front of your screen, no one's going to mow it. I mean, then you get fired. If you come back from lunch and you've had too many beers or whiskey, what happens if you're high?
Apparently, you make better decisions.
I didn't know bankers got fired for being drunk.
It is a rhetorical question, because I'm trying to work out what happens. They can't give you a breathalyzer when you're driving a car.
Correct.
And on weed. Sorry, I called it boom, and I was
told he was old.
I was told I was old. So what happens, and if you're driving and you've had too many beers, boom, they push you over, bribes, whatever it is, you get off. But
jail, David, jail.
Bribes. Yo, you're in a different...
But if you're driving at 20 kilometers an hour...
No one cares.
Whoa, and you listen to fancy music.
If you're smoking the Boom, you're only doing 20. No one's stressed. But it is a fun fact, because it can stay in your blood.
For everyone behind you.
Wow, I know, but they should, I don't know.
I think we've veered off topic, but...
I don't know.
But
it's one of those
it is a great question with which we should grapple.
Yeah, it's retail investors are back and they like that one, and they thought that was their meme stocks. That's what usually happens.
Yeah, we've got a meme stonk. Meanwhile, Vestact has upped the bar for good behavior, proclaiming its own minimum wage. The cynics might say it has no choice given what the execs take home. So minimum wage in Vestact,
21,000 rands still sounds a little bit too small for Investec.
Hang on, that's what I thought. My first thought was
44 sounds like maybe
21,000 for Investec seems like they are slipping some mean ones to the staff.
But what if you're a receptionist?
That
should be 44.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
That's what we have to define. What is a minimum job?
Is it the cleaner at Vestact? Is that
no, those are outsourced.
Yes.
Those are outsourced.
So your outsourced company pays them 5,000 rand a month, you see. So you don't pay for
So they're about to outsource receptionists, is what you're saying.
That's the same thing that...
It can't be 21, I'm sorry.
21 is... And then you've got to go to Sandton every day. That's expensive.
And I think in Vestac executives, they can come fight me. I'll show you my dojo if you're serious. 21 is not good enough. Yep.
I'm with Brad. 44 is a good place to
44, 45 sounds about right.
Can I get a job at Vestac?
No, 44 with Team Lewis.
Yeah.
Well, sticking with banking, and Bidvest, isn't. It's ditching Bidvest Bank and going for toilet hygiene instead with its purchase of Citron. We'll try not to read too much into that.
Well, you have to understand, there's no regulators for toilet sanitation or anything like that. No one comes round.
No capital requirements.
No capital requirements when they look at those towels that you do, and there's never soap in the dishes or something.
I'm sorry, the regulations, they start with ISO. So yes, those health regulations are serious.
Try run a bank. If I run a bank.
No, but everyone runs a bank because they're trying to hide things in the background. So there's that too. So bankers are not the best people here, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's also, so Bidvest Bank, there are only, two second-tier banks left,
Yeah.
Bidvest and Sasfin. And remember, I mean, they bought, Bidvest was Rennie's?
Rennie's.
Was it Rennie's?
Yeah.
98-ish or so. And then, of course, we had that second-tier banking collapse in the early 2000s. And now there's like no one left.
No, you're forgetting about African Bank, though it's not listed.
No, African Bank is the one that bought
Grindrod Bank.
Grindrod Bank.
Yeah.
And parts of Sasfin's book.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, so let's throw African Bank in
But
there.
African Bank is a bank now
Surely
after
African
that,
Bank
surely.
is coming back to the JSE.
Yeah. 25, 26, according to
Yeah.
Bingani.
Listen, Bidvest Bank's a good business, but they haven't got the retail base. You know, it's a wholesale base to fund all their transactions. And I think also things have become a lot easier on the Forex side, where they used to make a lot of money.
I have some
Remember
plans
they
for
had those
Bidvest
little
Bank.
kiosks that you would go. Those kiosks don't exist anymore. You know, you all do it on shift or you do it online yourself.
Yeah, I have some ideas for Bidvest Bank. You just need to put me as a non-exec.
Is that your idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to be
Got
a
some ideas.
director
For
of
more
a
than
bank.
44,000.
Yes.
Not 44,000.
But you can't bash the bankers and then beseech them to
No,
take
no,
you
no.
on
No.
non-executive.
I've got an idea for this bank. I don't care about
Okay.
the other banks.
What's up for sale?
Bidvest,
Yeah, why
phone
don't you go
bright.
have a little
Mr.
chat?
Tehran has got lots of money
Yeah, you
floating
could buy it.
around.
Why his money? They just use the government's money, man. That's what everyone does.
Black Bank.
Exactly.
Okay, back to Joe Biden, and not for his Gulf states versus those of Trump, but because he wants Novo Nordisk to cut the price for Ozempic and Wegovy. Yes, thinness for everyone. So this is why I typically stay away from drug manufacturers, not the psilocybin boom ones, the proper drug manufacturers. Because at some point, the governments around the world
Gets politicized.
say, yo, you're charging too much.
Yeah. We had a chat about this, about R&D, how much they invest, how many years.
I'm on the other side. I know that once you start cutting drug prices, so you cut the R&D. Once you cut R&D, you don't get
But governments don't care. They want to win
Yeah, but
elections.
you're not going to get the pharmaceutical companies just cut back on their R&D,
No.
so you don't get the breakthroughs.
But
You're still
governments-
not making the main point here. There are drugs that are necessary to,
Human
for
survival?
Yeah, exactly.
ARVs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why didn't you cut the
Insulin.
cost of insulin?
They did to the floor, and they still cut it after that. They're making losses on that. That was my point. That's where I was coming from. But anyways, why do you want to cut drug prices for a problem that you let McDonald's sell the food to your people and made them fat?
Yeah,
Why is
well-
that now the problem of Eli Lilly and
And sounding almost
Novo Nordisk.
like far left wing.
If I'm in
no, I'm
trouble,
not far left wing. I'm just saying if you're gonna be, if you
This is
wanna,
conservatism.
no, if you're gonna regulate, you must regulate properly. Don't just regulate where you feel like there's already existing. You must regulate
Sure,
everyone.
I hear you. But
So
of
it
course
mustn't
it's
just
easy.
be
This
problem
is
of
the
Eli
easy one.
Lilly's.
It's
Yes.
politically
No.
likely. Yes, the R&D will vanish, but the politician will get voted in next time. The R&D impact's not going to be felt for
Yeah,
decades.
and medically, these weight loss drugs outside of the
obesity.
exactly, they're basically cosmetic. So how are you regulating cosmetic drugs? I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense. That should be a free market.
It is a free market. Go to any pharmacy here and ask them what their waiting list is, and they're going to say to you, and you're going to say, no, that's too expensive. No.
They're gonna be like, no, go home.
Okay, I thought you were suggesting we outlaw McDonald's, which is why I said.
No,
Which
no,
is
no,
not
no,
a bad
no.
idea.
If you want to regulate everyone equally.
Yeah.
Don't
Make
pick
sure
and choose.
McDonald's isn't selling products with stuffed to the brim with trans fat.
Have you heard the McDonald's CFO?
Use real ingredients. It's such a simple thing. Just regulate
it's hard.
everyone equally.
They
I
don't
know.
care. It's up
Ask
to the
Chipotle,
consumer
it's
to
very
decide,
hard.
yeah. They're not going to tell their consumers what to eat or what not to eat. That's McDonald's. So you want to
Well,
eat
actually,
those.
and that is also fair. If you are going to
No, they
watch,
mustn't.
remember
Do me a
Supersize
favour.
Me. You should know better than to
Okay.
eat McDonald's. every
No.
day.
They shouldn't.
like
I
this
still
conversation.
defend the customers here. They shouldn't regulate the customers and what they eat. They should regulate the supply chain. So if they regulate McDonald's is gonna come down on their supply chain. That's very different.
Okay,
Watch
what is
the rugby tomorrow. Go watch the rugby and go watch the adverts. Most of the adverts are super betting, telling people to
Yeah.
go out and bet.
And lose money.
Okay, and lose money. Nothing, and made glamorous. Otherwise, it's about big pizzas that are delivered to you, super double-decker, triple-decker, or a double-decker burgers and so on.
Cheese.
And then they say, let's...
We've
cut
totally
down the
went-
prices of
yeah.
drugs. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our favorite tech stock. And Nvidia is to sell $12 billion worth of artificial intelligence chips in China this year, despite US export controls. Its new H20 chips are designed to fall outside of US restrictions on selling AI processors to Chinese customers. It's almost twice as many as Huawei is expected to sell of its China-made rival product, according to the FT.
I thought we've agreed that the chips are not the things that make the money. And those chips that are designed to be outside of the US or outside of Russia and China, they're not that amazing. The technology is not that new. So we've agreed the money comes from the networking side. You go to there's a thing here. What do you call a firewall or a storage facility or whatever? It's memory chip. It's the cables. It's everything that goes into that rack that's there. It's not just the chip alone, but everything there. That's how Nvidia is making money. Otherwise, if they were still selling chips, they'd still be rated as AMD.
Okay.
Yeah, except their chips are like way ahead of everybody else.
I agree.
And
that's
their chips
great,
also,
but
you're
they
saying
use that
chip.
to their
Have you
advantage.
seen that H20, the Grace Hopper? It's like the size of a pizza, an unhealthy pizza.
Yeah. And it can drive a rocket to Jupiter. Yeah. So.
Okay, I just thought it was interesting that they were kind of circumnavigating the...
As
It's sneaky,
you are
but
sitting
they're
with
supposed
Nvidia shareholders. Those rules are for
I'm
non-shareholders.
an Nvidia shareholder.
Well, there we go.
Inadvertently.
Fine, eventually, come to the party.
So then the short answer is we don't care about these silly
Okay, that's
rules.
fine.
We have money to make and places to be. Quite as simple. And finally, keeping with the theme of US presidents in trouble, a 6-foot wax sculpture of Abraham Lincoln has proved no match for a Washington heatwave. Thanks to the temperature topping 100 degrees, I assume Fahrenheit, over the weekend, Lincoln's head got a little too gooey for comfort, so it was removed and stored for safekeeping, with plans to reattach it when the weather cools.
I miss those days when the sculptures were made, with steel and
Wax.
Marble.
It's a fantastic
and
sculpture. It was always
wax.
designed apparently to melt away, but
They don't want it
smells-
to melt so quickly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think that kind of sums up American politics. American exceptionalism is over.
And that's where we leave it. David, Bright, thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend and a great evening.